What was it like growing up in the Depression?
No one had any money. You didn't have any money for candy. I can well remember the first bottle of pop I ever bought.
What kind was it?
What kind? I don't remember that.
Well, what do you remember about the?
I remember always wanting pop. Other kids that drink it, you didn't know what it tasted like. They had no money. And my daddy drank a lot. We could have had money, but when we had to spend the money, we earned it ourselves. Delivering papers or cutting lawns, stuff like that. Toys, we made our own toys. Back in them days, it was the tail end of the horse wagon, buggies. And the wagon wheels had a wood hub with a steel ring around the wood hub, probably about 8 inches or 10 inches around. Well, we'd go up there and get them, blacksmith shop, and steel loop, and you'd make a stick or a lath, a piece of wood, and jelly nail a tin can lid on the bottom of it, and you'd wheel that steel loop all over town on the sidewalk. Every one of the kids had one of them made. You'd play with them. And you'd run real fast, and you had to raise the sidewalk that wheel, jump 4 or 5 foot in the air, and just singing, banging when it went. But every kid in town made. That's the kind of toys you had to make your own. And some kids, if they get a hold of some wheels, you'd make a cart to ride on. Some of the kids that had their folks had little money had bicycles. My brother had a bicycle he made from junk. And he kind of outgrew it and gave it to me.
He made it?
Pieces you pick up, junkyard here, Frank. The tires were high pressure, no tube. And you'd wrap them with tape, and the boys put sour milk in that tire. And it rotted. And it punches a little hole. Sandbirds punches them tires. You punch a little hole, they'd hold air for a while. But man, when they blew out, they did stink. Eventually, that old bicycle got tore up so bad that I was peddling papers, mowing lawns, and everything else. Mom took me, I saved money, but she took me over to Western Auto Store. He was a good guy, he was over the county seat. And he sold me a new bicycle, took that old junk for trade-in. And I made payments on that bicycle, and he would send over advertising to peddle all over the country. I had a new bicycle. I lived at that thing. But that's where I got it.
Did you have a bike, Mom, or your family?
Not until I was about
I don't know what grade it is. I didn't know you had.
The upper grades.
What kind of toys did you have?
Oh, mainly just little things that you could play with in the house.
Did you gather on the radio at nights like a lot of Americana?
We had them when I first was born, but during that was the beginning of the Depression, and by the time I was in school, this little old radio was pretty well done with. So we didn't have a radio.
We never had a radio until I bought one. I got peddling paper and got a little money and bought one.
How many jobs did you do, Dad?
Everything I could. Mowed lawns, done everything. Anything that you could find to do. Some days you'd mow some lawn all day for a dime.
You know, only the one we had next, I was in grade school, probably about 8th grade, and I remember her so well. I came home for dinner one day, and there my dad was, and a man he had a radio for sale, and he had brought it in. It was a second-hand one, but it was pretty nice.
What were your favorite shows back then? I love listening to Jack Benny and...
those, and the music was good.
In the early days, I'd go with the neighbors, friend of mine, good, and we'd listen to The Shadow, and Captain Midnight, and all that kind of stuff.
We did that with the neighbors too when I was little.
You both grew up with big families.
Yes.
Darlene's the biggest. There were 6 of us, 3 boys and 3 girls.
And we had, what, 7?
You got 7, yeah.
Yeah, we had 2 boys and the rest girls. I was just
She
the
was the
baby.
youngest. I was the youngest boy, but I had a younger sister.
Did you guys share rooms with your brothers and sisters? Or?
Oh yeah, all 3 of us, when we was young, all 3 of us slept in the same bed. In fact, we did in high school, when the boys were in high school.
How big a bed was it?
Full-size bed.
We had 2 rooms on the upper floor, and the girls had one and the boys had one.
So you're always sharing. You all always shared the bed and the room and everything. How many fights did you guys have, or how well did you all get along?
How many what?
How many fights did you guys have? Or how well did you get along?
My dad, didn't have fights. I don't remember having fights with him.
The boys would come in, whichever one come first, they'd shove me over in the wintertime. Bedrooms were not heated. And they'd shove me over and take my warm spot. Then the next one would come in, he'd shove me over and take my warm spot.
When I was in 3rd grade, they shoved a little bit too much for me, and then they were home from school for the noon, and Dale was helping with my mom, and he liked to at the stove, and somehow somebody knocked a hot dishes stuff off on my front, got me from the waist down.
Burned you?
Yes, and my dad, I was little, I was in 3rd grade, but I was very little. My dad just grabbed me up and took me to the, about,
3 or 4 blocks.
yeah, downtown. The doctor had an office down there, and he fixed it all up and sent me home.
Remember one year, the boys, one of them, Delmer was working on the farm, and he gave me a cat gun. And then them boys had firecrackers, and they stuck a firecracker in my tap drum, blow the barrel off. So I didn't have any, but I still had the hammer that fired the caps. And big boys always doing something.
A lot of pranks, a lot of...
Yeah, just ornery, fun stuff. Them days about most houses in town had a barn. And my 2 older brothers and me were up there at the barn Haymouth. When the big hay door was always hanging open. And my redhead brother, oldest one, he told me to call the other brother Peanuts. That was what he nicknamed him. And my other brother said, "You do and I'll whip you." And my redhead brother, the oldest one, said, "I won't let him hurt you." So I called him Peanuts. And they got into fighting, wrestling mostly. And they rolled out the Haymouth door and fell on the ground. Neighbor lady come running over, "Lucy, Lucy, they're killing each other." That was the mom's name, was Lucy. But that was a story of your life, the big family we had.